think it's important for us to think about how we talk about the purpose behind transportation, the why we do what we do. You know, when you think about when we speak, we sometimes dive down too deep when we start talking about details like pavement smoothness or bridge sufficiency ratings. Those details that are important to how we manage the system, but quite frankly don't resonate with the public and with elected officials. If elected officials are going to make a big decision about investing in infrastructure, they want to know the why behind it. What's the benefit for our community? What do our people get out of it? We want to share the resources, obviously, amongst all of the states, but all of our cities, all of our partners, all of you. And I'm telling you that TRB is going to play an instrumental role, because as we go about and we try new things and we learn new things, we're going to need the support of our researchers, our academics. We're going to need the support of our partners at US DOT to help guide us, to help give us the resources, the expertise, and also that encouragement. Because when we all come together, when we all learn together, and we're able to sit at what I call the little table up on the hill, and we're talking to our congressional leaders about why we're doing what we're doing, how we're doing it, these big exciting things, they're going to want it. They're going to want more of it. And when we're in the position where our elected officials, their only thing is figuring out how they can provide us the resource to give us more, that's when we know we're having the right conversation.
The moonshot that MnDOT is working on is transform how we power transportation. And transportation electrification can't be achieved without expanded grid capacity. So we're looking forward to how do we make sure our grid is going to be able to handle electrification, and how can we, as the DOT, do our part to support energy security and reliability. And so that's where we've been working in this space. We've had a lot of interest from utilities in locating transmission lines in the highway right-of-way, and we do recognize that highway rights-of-way do offer clear benefits to accelerating new transmission development. And this aligns with our Governor Walz's One Minnesota plan and climate action framework to be carbon neutral by 2050, and a goal our legislature set in this last session in 2023 to have 100% clean energy by 2040. So we need to step up and do our part, and it has to do with being resilient, as a resilient system, an equitable system. And then back in 2021, MnDOT participated in a feasibility study. It was an externally initiated feasibility study, the Next Gen Highways study. And as part of that, MnDOT activated work groups within MnDOT, but also involved our Public Utilities Commission and our Minnesota Department of Commerce to talk through all we need to be thinking about as we move forward to allow transmission lines to parallel in our right-of-way. So as a part of doing that and work that we're continuing to do to refine our permit processes and help provide additional guidance, technical assistance for transmission developers to better meet our needs and to increase early coordination, pre-permit application consultation with transmission developers. We thought this very much aligns with the AASHTO moonshot to transform how we power transportation. So that's how we got excited about being part of the moonshot. We had some work already going and pilot projects, and we're excited to continue to work on it, see where it goes, and how we can align with other states as we move this forward.
We actually have two of them. The first project is related to enhancing accessibility and affordability in transportation for low-income folks, the ALICE folks. What we found is that there's all kinds of fund sources out there that can pay for people's transit, to get to medical appointments, to get to job opportunities, to get to where they need to go. Some of that comes through us. Some of that comes FTA money, some state monies. But there's also other pots of monies out there. At the state level, our Department of Health and Human Services has money. You know, there's our labor and economic opportunity, our jobs folks, they have different sets of funding. Our intention is to seek out as many of these as we can and kind of bring them all together. One, figure out where they are. Two, figure out kind of how they can be spent. And then how do we bring those together? And the second phase of this will be creating kind of a mobility marketplace where folks that do need these services can have kind of a one-stop shop. So that's our first one. Our second one is quite different. That is more about energy generation and storage within the right-of-way. Nancy mentioned your next-gen highways. I think there could be some ties to that. And the general idea here is that we want to create solar installations, most likely, that could ultimately be used for EV charging, potentially inductive charging, which we actually just opened the first quarter mile of induction charging, in-pavement inductive charging in the city of Detroit. So we realized that there's a lot that's going to have to go in order to develop these concepts. And the first phase is really the siting phase. We're going to work through some GIS tools and kind of figure out where would these be most appropriate, where are they most feasible. And then the second phase will be to do the actual implementation. We have some limited solar already in our right-of-ways, rest areas, carpool lots, not very many. And we're aware that there are other states that may even be ahead of us on this issue. So we're looking forward to partnering with others on both of these projects to try to move the needle.
The moonshot. For many years in northern Nevada, we have been, for winter operations, we have worked between California, Utah, Wyoming, and out to Nebraska, real weather operations, because when you close the border at California, Nevada state line, and you're headed westward from Nebraska or any parts east, you only have like 4 or 5 left turns to make. You need to know in advance what kind of alternate route. These are long expanses, hundreds of miles of very little alternative routes. So again, how do you get there? So we started to learn how to communicate there in different ways. 20 years ago, it was literally being at truck stops and handing out pamphlets. And so we moved on progressively to, we get the operation centers talking, and now we have some more digital infrastructure in place. So my focus is really on supply chain management and actually getting digital data, get the digital infrastructure to put data across state lines to accomplish many different things. But my concept is go the entire route of I-80, which is the second largest interstate in the United States at 2,009 miles. And at each border, we agree, there's 11 states along there, to agree to be connected and interoperable at each border. But the other concept to it here, and I'll talk about it more later, is that we can't, as we move along and develop the corridor, we can't ignore the work that's already been done, or I'm creating a corridor of excellence that's not connected to anything else. We have the United States is large, and there's a lot of work going around. Texas has offered to help. Thank you, Mark. Just reminding you. But also there's been work in the Northwest with Washington at that MASHTO. There's been a lot of work going on with truck parking. So as we start to marry all those efforts together, connect the dots, and truly make it a connected interstate.
If you think about Texas, and you may have heard we're kind of a big state, and we also move a lot of freight. And we move more freight than any other state in the nation. We've got about 3 billion tons, worth about $4 trillion in valuation, that we move every year. We have Gulf Coast ports. We've got inland ports. We've got 20 international commercial border crossings, including the busiest one in the nation in the Port of Laredo. So freight and the movement of freight has been very key to the economy of our state. Our moonshot proposal is built around that corridor and how we can begin to effectively work with the customers, customer-driven, working with those operators to understand their needs and to understand how we can work effectively, but not just focus it only on the autonomous trucking side of it, but also just on the broader trucking industry as well, and being able to work on pushing in-cab notifications to operators so that we can make them aware of events and conditions and other functions going on along that corridor to improve safety and operational mobility. And so that's where we have arrived at the project that was part of our moonshot, and very much looking forward to continuing that effort to deploy and advance that.
Thank you, Mark.